people like to blame inefficiencies and losing streaks on sports curses. And they say, oh, well, we're cursed. That's why we're not winning. The most famous sports related curses of all time have been like in relation to a lot of baseball, ineffective franchises. Like you look at the curse of the Bambino for the Red Sox. They had, a 86-year drought in winning World Series because they traded away Babe Ruth, which, I mean, he's a generational player. That's the thing. It's not a curse. It is a consequence of a bad trade. If you're looking at the Mavericks and saying, oh, well, they're cursed. No, they just made a bad trade. And now they just have older players who are dealing with injuries. Like, is it bad that Kyrie Irving just tore his ACL? Of course. And it feels unfortunate, but I'm not going to look at the trade and be like, well, this is simply because of a curse. No, it's because of a bad trade. So I know it's similar to the people who blame the bad events in their life on their horoscope sign. It's not because of your horoscope sign. It's because of the consequences of your own actions.
You mean it's not because the stars are aligned and Mercury is in retrograde that all these bad things are happening to the Dallas Mavericks right now? Exactly. Like it's not a curse because the Mavericks have lost pretty much all of their major players because Nico Harrison traded away Luka Doncic. Kyrie Irving had to play more minutes and was asked to do more. His usage had to be up a little bit higher, and therefore he was kind of run into the ground a little bit. And I know an ACL tear can happen at any moment, and not necessarily just because a player has been, averaging a couple extra minutes per game, but you put more stress and strain on one player on your roster, and maybe something like this happens. I mean, Dylan just threw in the chat, Kyrie's averaging 39 minutes, almost 40 minutes a game over his last 10 games. That's a lot.
What did you think was going to happen?
Right? So it's not like it's a result of the actions of Nico Harrison that some of these things have been happening. Now, could he predict? Well, maybe he could have predicted Anthony Davis going down in his first game. AD's been fairly healthy for Mr. Street Clothes has been fairly healthy for the last couple seasons. Clearly not the case this year. But it's a result of decisions made by the front office that a lot of these things are happening for the Mavs right now. And it's not a curse. It's just reality.
Yeah, it's consequences. Like, imagine if any of us at our jobs would say, the reason that I'm struggling at work right now, it's because I'm cursed. Like, that's what it is. It's not my fault. I have nothing to do with this. It's simply a curse. Chelsea, you haven't shown up to work in 3 days. I'm cursed. What do you expect? My alarm didn't go off. I didn't feel like coming the next day. It's not my fault. It's out of my hands.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a great, I would love to try and use that excuse sometime. I don't think it would go over very well. That's the thing.
What I'm
saying.
I would
probably
nobody else can use this.
Have to have a chat with the top dogs. Probably it wouldn't be fun for me. Yeah. So I mean, curses, the basketball gods, they aren't going against the Mavericks right now. They aren't propping up the Lakers right now because the Lakers were on the better side of that trade. No, the Lakers are having success because they have Luka Doncic on their team right now. That's the bottom line there. Like, it's not that the sports gods are all of a sudden like bringing good juju over to the Lakers. It's that they have two of the top players in the league right now.
Yeah, I will say it's been a comical amount of bad news for the Mavericks since trading away Luka Doncic. The injuries keep piling up. Derek Lively out indefinitely. Daniel Gafford out indefinitely. Kyrie Irving tears his ACL. Anthony Davis out indefinitely. But also, these are things that we're looking for because there's other teams in the NBA that have suffered, a laundry list of injuries. But it's one of those things that if you're looking for something, you're going to find it. I think it's similar to, I'll give you an example. The other day I was talking, I think, with my mom about how every car you see now is either black, white, or silver. Like, people go for the neutral tones. So I have been looking for other cars. And I've noticed them. Like, hey, there's a red car. There's a blue car. What's she talking about? But when you're looking for something, that's when you find something. So we're looking for the Mavericks to be cursed. We're saying, oh, look at how bad it is in Dallas. which it is. We'll give you full, discourse for that. But still, when you're looking for something, sometimes you find it too. It's like if you have a lucky number, you notice it more.
And the quote unquote curse, or the reason, like people talking about the Mavericks being cursed, they're going to add another notch to that belt because the Mavericks are not making the playoffs right now. Right now, minus 600 to miss the playoffs, plus 430 to make the playoffs. And we talked about this yesterday, Chelsa, and I said, at plus, I think it was plus 250 yesterday to make the playoffs, and that's before we knew the severity of Kyrie's injury. And I said, if Kyrie can come back at any time this season, if Anthony Davis comes back soon, like I think there's a chance that they can make the playoffs. Nope, not anymore. With Kyrie out for the year, Anthony Davis's camp has already suggested that maybe they just hold him out for the rest of the year to not further risk another injury or re-aggravate this one, being the Mavs, their title hopes, not all that great. So minus 600 to miss the playoffs, that's the only way I would look here. Am I laying minus 600 with the Mavericks? No, I'm definitely not. So there really isn't, unless you think that Klay Thompson and Dwight Powell and Spencer Dinwiddie can take you to the play-in when you're already a couple games back of that 10th spot. That's the only reason you would bet plus 430. I won't be one of those people, Chelsa.
Yeah, I'm not going to be betting anything on it, but I'll say this. There are 10 teams that make the playoffs, and it means that you believe somewhat in the Suns. It means you believe somewhat in the Trailblazers, the Spurs, the Pelicans, and the Jazz. Like, these are not teams that I want to put my money on either. So maybe I'm just going to stay away. But one thing I'm not doing is blaming this on a curse. I am saying this is squarely the consequences of your own actions. Take some accountability. Because isn't that what's frustrating when you see ownership make these type of moves and they just don't take accountability? Well, Luka was smoking hookah. He was drinking beer. We couldn't give him a big deal. Yeah, you could. He was doing all this and still putting up massive numbers. So you lost the trade.